Well, hello, I am Darice, and I am changing my YouTube channel from Moon Life Illuminated to All for Joy. At least I think that's the name. It may be something different by the time you actually see this, but most likely it will be All for Joy. And on my YouTube channel from now on, not only am I going to talk about astrology, but I'm also going to talk about my own journey of moving from despair to joy. I was just sharing with Maria, my guest today, uh, how I moved from 15 years of not wanting to get out of bed to now having a life of joy. And I want to share more of that with you. And I'm really honored to have Maria here, Maria E. She has her own YouTube channel, Flow with Maria. That's the correct name of it, right?
Flow with Maria E. Yeah.
Flow with Maria E, where she has conscious conversations with spiritual luminaries, spiritual mentors. And I mean, she is a spiritual mentor herself, even if she doesn't acknowledge it. And which is why I wanted to have her come on and just share her incredible story and journey as well. And we're just going to have a conversation and just see where it goes. So,
Well,
welcome, Maria.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you asked me to be on. I have no idea why. And I'm like, okay, let's go.
Well, I'll share a little bit about my own personal history, just to give people some context of what I'm talking about. Um, my father died when I was 10. It was an unexpected death. And then my younger brother, my parents had taken in foster siblings when I was a kid, and then they ended up adopting my baby brother, who ended up having schizophrenia. So he was bipolar and had schizophrenia. So that obviously created a lot of chaos in my house in my teenage years. And so losing my father at 10, living with my brother and his schizophrenia when I was like a young child and a teenager. Then in my 30s, my best friend died from lupus. And so all of that combined sent me into a tailspin. And I had a lot of unprocessed grief in most of my 20s and 30s. And I didn't realize that that's what it was. I just couldn't get started, it felt like. Or a lot of the things that I started just kept falling apart. Like I was pursuing screenwriting, I moved to California to do that. And then nothing ever seemed to pan out. And when I look back on it now, I realize a lot of me still felt guilty for still being alive, even though because my brother wasn't. So that was how the unexpressed grief worked in my life. But I didn't make that realization or understanding until my 40s. And so I spent a good 15 years where my biggest accomplishment was really just getting out of bed. I remember how hard it was to get out of bed. And I told myself, you just have to make it to the end of the day. You just have to get home. You just have to make it to the end of the day. And that's what I did. But a part of me knew that there was more. So I kept seeking. I kept doing spiritual stuff. I kept reading the books. I kept going to the workshops. And eventually that all led me to astrology, which led to Reiki healing. And the combination of the two is what really catapulted me into actually wanting to live again. Um, and all the stuff I'd learned up to that point finally clicked in. Like all the stuff I'd been reading, all the works, all the learnings. Like I had the information, but I
Mhm.
didn't know how to implement it. And it wasn't until I realized that through astrology, like the cosmos, God is really supporting me. And I see how that energy was moving through my life and my world. And then Reiki, energy healing, and breath work helped really unlock it all. And so I just wanted to have a space on this channel where I could talk to other people about some of the bigger things they've been through and then what they use to bring them out of it. Because I feel so many of us, we talk about shadow work in this spiritual world, personal development, but no one really breaks it down like how they actually did it or what they actually moved through. And I just felt the call to create that space on my channel to do that. And you just felt like the first person to start with, Maria. Like, just because of how bright you are, you have such a big heart, you're so full of love. And I know you've been through a lot of really hard things. And most people who've been through what you've been through, they wouldn't have the same open heart that you have. Like, they wouldn't be open and free of bitterness. So I want to know how you were able to do that. And maybe if you can just share your own personal story, what you're comfortable sharing with on YouTube, of course.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me this space as well. Um, I didn't realize what was going on until last year, that I was being led, divinely guided. in some way. It didn't click for me until we until I found Cortnie on the Light and Love Club with her YouTube videos. But before that, like right before that, these like exactly a year ago, I was like, I want to talk about I want to coach.
Oh, and I'll interrupt you real quick too. That's how Maria and I met through the Light and Love Club and Cortnie Kairos's container. And I'll put a link down to her YouTube and a couple of the other containers she has going on right now as well. So,
Great. But she was doing daily meditations. I had found meditations for me. I had I mean, it's just such a how to wrap all that stuff up, all my life up. Um, but I think my journey really began when I chose myself during COVID. For me, everything came crumbling down. I was working a job that I really didn't like at all in an insurance company. I was like super micromanaged, and I had just started that job, which I knew was not for me, but I, because of circumstances with our financial situation, like I had to quit a job that I loved to go work for this insurance company where I had connections. And so I was able to get in there, and then I was put in the Spanish. I used to be a Spanish English interpreter in the United States. I live in Panama now. And so I was able to work with like Spanish clients that had no idea anything about insurance or short-term disability or anything like that. And then, 3 months, 4 months later, I'm like sent home with all the computers and everything. And I
mm,
was in my home for a year and a half, just slowly dying, literally,
mm.
like because the job was so micromanaged. I mean, I'm talking bathroom breaks and lunch break, like
Oh,
everything
wow.
clock in, clock out. Our calls are recorded. Like everything was just super, super, super micromanaged. And I just started like I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening right now when when I'm stuck in my home and then I'm stuck in this job that I'm doing that I really didn't like. So an opportunity came down because my dad he had surgery.
Hmm.
And so I came down to Panama for a couple of weeks, and I used to live in Maine. And then I went back to Maine, and then like after that trip, my ex-husband said, I'm going to figure out another way to get you out of this job. Like I'm going to figure out a way to get like medical insurance, which was the main thing as well.
Oh, okay.
Because he had stage 4 lung and brain cancer
Oh, wow.
years before. And so that kind of that really shifted our relationship, but it also shifted like our financials situation. It shifted what kind of jobs he had.
Hmm.
And so it came to the point where it's like, well, we need like really good medical insurance. And so, well, I can have it if I work at this company.
Mm.
Um, but when I got back from my trip to Panama, he said that because he could see me getting lower and lower and lower and lower, like just after work, I would clock out. I couldn't even talk. I would just disappear um, into like my own little space. And it just became
Mm.
every single day was just like I would literally, I can share this, but it was like I would take because sometimes I would be on camera. And so like I would literally but most of the time I was in pajamas, like, like how, like everything that people wore during COVID when they were stuck at home.
Yeah, yeah.
And I literally like would get undressed and then put the same clothes back on I would just throw it on the floor and then put the same clothes
Oh,
back on. Just like this
wow.
really, yeah. And so when he said, I'm going to figure out a way to get a different insurance, I quit my job. I gave a notice.
Hmm.
And after my last day, I came down to Panama again with more in like I stayed for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And this is where I had time and space to like reflect on what the heck is happening in my life, because I had reached such a point of depression where I really had thought about taking my life.
Yeah.
And I knew that being aware of wanting to take my life was actually a good thing. Like at
Hmm.
least I'm aware, like I didn't let that thought control me at that moment. I was like, okay, I'm aware of this. What can I do with this? I don't want to feel this way. I want to live. I want to live.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
so when I came down to Panama, I just started really reevaluating things. I'm very connected to the ocean. I'm looking at the ocean right now. But some really close friends of mine took me to one of the Pearl Islands. And I had 8 days there of uh, pure magic. I mean, it was
Mm.
like I would just float in the ocean. I tried snorkeling. I was terrified of snorkeling. I tried
Oh.
snorkeling. Um, and I had a lot of aha moments. So that at that time I
Hmm.
called them aha moments, like where things
Okay.
just like clicked. And when I came back to the city, I made the decision to talk to my husband, go back to Maine, talk to my husband, and say what I probably we should have said a while ago. Um, and so we decided to separate and divorce,
Okay.
and I came down to
I want
Panama.
to go back to when you first went to Panama, and you said you were there for like 6 weeks or so.
That's when I made my decision. Yeah. So
Okay.
I so
I refer to that period when people have an opportunity like that. I call that the collapse. And a lot of people, especially a lot of women, they don't give themselves, or femme identified folks in particular, they don't give themselves the space to drift during the collapse. And I call it the collapse because that's probably what it felt like in your body when you first got there. Like you just wanted to like lay down and sleep for days. Um,
yeah.
yeah. And
That's a good way to
but
put
I want
it.
to highlight that for people because you may be in that space, and if you have it, and a lot of people they push through it. They feel like they have to work, they have to keep going. But it's the actual opposite. Like some people refer to it as the void, but the void can last for longer than that. But it's really great if you can have a few weeks or even a few months where you don't have anything major pressing, where you can allow the nervous system to unwind, that the body can literally just relax, like the brain can relax, like you can actually just experience the collapse and rest. And I think because you gave yourself that space to have the collapse to just like fall apart and not have any answers to be, because a lot of people are like, well, how do I let my feminine energy rise? And for me, the key piece of that was having that version of the collapse where I didn't have to figure anything out. I didn't have to have a structure or a plan. Like I just needed to like follow my body's own rhythm, and I just needed to feel. I needed to cry for hours when I could cry. And then I think that's why you had those aha moments, because you gave yourself during that incubation period, the collapse, to have the aha moments. I just wanted to highlight that for folks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is that when, like exactly how you said it, like I actually had time to think, to just be present. And for me, like I said, the connection with being in the ocean, like an island in the middle of the ocean and swimming yeah, it was so then I moved back, then I moved to Panama.
Hmm.
And this is where my journey kind of began again. The first thing I did was I wanted to connect with my body and my mind. I was just like,
Hmm.
who am I? Like I really asked myself, who am I? So one of the first things I did was I did someone that I knew was offering like a cranial sacral
Yeah.
session. But I'm like, okay, well, this sounds kind of interesting. I just did it on a whim.
Hmm.
Um, and it was really cool. I here in Panama, I did it in person, um, and then from there, I did a class called Reconnecting with the Self.
Okay.
Um, and that class, that's the one that really, really expanded me so much. I'm like, okay, wait. So I am like a soul living in this body, right?
Hmm.
But without even knowing it, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we're talking 3, 4 years ago. Um, but it just was one thing after another, like all these little things that I just kept getting guided. But I also was presented with some really wild, terrible situations, like with my
Mm.
parents. So the growth was not, it was just all happening at once. And then for me specifically, when I returned to Maine for our first Christmas as a divorced couple, but we still had our grown children, um, because I was living with my parents, I was getting like the COVID shots
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the thing to do. I'd never even questioned it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of other people were, but I wasn't in the right frame yet to question that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the vaccine and then I returned to Panama and then without symptoms, but I was hanging out in my room and then I had this really wild episode where my entire body just like I thought I was having a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, and I came out. I remember I came out of the room and I said, Mom, I think you better take me to the hospital. Like, I can't ignore this. My blood pressure was going up. Um, and when I got to the hospital, they couldn't even tell me like the number. I mean, it had reached like almost 200. It was just like really, really, really high. And and then it calmed down and I was diagnosed with hypertension. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't take any kind of medication at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the symptoms went away literally the next day
Mm-hmm.
of that high blood pressure thing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to take this medication. Um, and but from there, my entire nervous system, and I realize this now, it's like my entire nervous system was literally being recalibrated, redone, something because I couldn't walk.
Mm.
I lost like strength in my legs. I lost strength in my body. It felt like my entire head was going to explode like all the time.
Wow.
And yeah, that lasted for months. But when in the worst times when I really thought I am literally going to explode from the inside out, like I really felt this.
Mm.
Mm. And I said, okay, meditate, right? So I discovered like deep meditations of healing. And then I started listening to frequencies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sleeping with the frequencies, like healing frequencies. I can't remember the number,
Okay.
but it was like healing frequencies.
Yeah, I
Um,
think 174 hertz is the one people use for physical pain.
174, okay. 174, you said?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And you have a thing with 17.
Okay. Um, so that I think my push to get my body back, um, and at the same time doing these meditations and um, frequencies, and I mean, because I was like stuck I couldn't walk very much. I and I was in such a dark place. Like I thought I had
Mm-hmm.
already gone through the dark stuff. That's when I really, really.
Mm-hmm.
So about 5, 6 months later, I finally came out of that. I had my body back. I was doing yoga every single day. Got pushed
Okay.
to the yoga, but meditation always remained. Always.
Yeah, and the meditation is what saved me too, because I'd been meditating since I was 16. I mean, at the time I called it prayer because when I was in high school, I thought I was called to be a nun. So I was really active in the Catholic Church and I started praying and reading the Bible every day. I did that for like a year when I was 16. And then from there that I'd never let go of that practice of quiet time alone to talk to God or spirit every day. And so I'm really grateful that I've had that. And I think that's what also kept me seeking for a better way, especially because I had such incredible moments with God, either in those meditations or even at church. And I neglected to mention at the beginning that my brother committed suicide when I was 27. And so it was his death and my father's death that I was had unresolved grief around in my 20s and 30s. But I think that meditation every day, that practice, that connection to God, spirit, like that is what reminded me that there is more, like there is something more than this crushing darkness that like I'm moving through every day is what like helped me keep going. So that makes sense to me that gave you that spark to keep finding like the other side.
Yeah, and without really knowing, like without really knowing, or I just kind of went day by day, like, okay, I gotta get through today. But but then a year later, after a few other things happen and different relationships that taught me like I don't know. I think I've been waking up for like a couple of, like since I arrived here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because I see it now, like I see all the breadcrumbs of more so these past few years, but then also my entire life. My memories are now going back to like further and further and further, younger, younger, younger. But I see like how my life has played out with patterns, synchronicities. Did I say that right? Synchronicity. Yeah,
Yeah.
synchronicities.
Yes.
Um, and going back to like specific moments in my life, like, oh, okay, that meant that. So I know that I've been on this path my entire life. I just didn't realize it until I started to wake up and put all these things together and put like this, like I think I was speaking with you on my podcast about like I feel like my life has been like a puzzle, and
Mm-hmm.
inserting this piece here and this piece here, this piece here, and it's still unfinished, right? It's like the
Mm-hmm.
other part is the unfinished part that we are now creating and connecting to,
Exactly.
and at the same time, which is wild, right? Like what am I supposed to do? But I'm not supposed to know, but but I still want to create. Um, and finding that harmony, and one of the things that really, really interested me was speaking about astrology with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you were one of my first guests, and I know that I was like each person that I invite to be on my podcast, like I'm led to, I just followed that guidance. And I'm like, I want to ask some really cool questions about astrology and what the heck is happening with these energies. So you've already been on my podcast twice because this year has been full of boom, boom, boom. And now this weekend, it's like, I don't know, I'm feeling something completely.
Well, this weekend is solstice. Tomorrow, the 21st, is solstice. And this might get posted on Monday, the day right after solstice. But it's the longest day of the year in the Western Hemisphere. It's the beginning of summer. It's the official beginning of Cancer season. And so there's a lot of energy. But Chiron just also moved into Taurus
Mhm.
yesterday, the 19th. And so Chiron is the wounded healer, or what I like to think of as the test before the testimony. That's what I always heard from like the Black church ladies, that like God always gives you the test before the testimony. And so I feel like Chiron represents that for us. And so people are probably feeling that energy. And also, we're moving towards the next Mercury retrograde, which is going to happen at the end of June. And at the same time, that same weekend, Jupiter is going to be moving out of Cancer into Leo. So there's a lot of energy in June in
A lot.
particular moving. Like we're
Yeah.
on this next level of like a new stage beginning, a new trajectory happening. And that's what I love about astrology, because like I could feel these things, but it's nice to have a language for what's happening.
Yes.
And a lot of astrologers can look at it as a very doom and gloom aspect. Like it's sort of surprising to me how pessimistic so many astrologers are. Like when I first started listening, I was like, why do they always see the worst in all the transits? That's just never been my intuition with all of it. I feel like it's all about finding a way to support ourselves, or like I think of all of these transits as invitations from the universe, source, God, for us to like discover more what's inside of us, like our own gifts, skills, innate talents.
Yeah.
And I think you did exactly that with the challenges you had with your physical health, with your divorce, with your husband's cancer. Like you used all of those opportunities as a way to find a connection deeper to God, deeper to source, and like deeper to like your own soul and your own soul's growth journey. Like, how does that resonate for you?
Yeah, I mean it is that. And for me specifically, like you resonate with astrology, and then you like, want to find out everything about that. And then all of a sudden you're doing this on a podcast, right? Like we were
Right.
talking about it. For me, it's always been about the mind. I've been really good throughout my life of having those deeper conversations. They're not like not the superficial ones, but the deeper ones. Um, and just getting like to be really very present, like especially when I was interpreting, I had to be very present
Mm-hmm.
in that very moment. So I see how my life has been guided. Um, because I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm 59. So
That's just
um
amazing. I mean, that still blows my mind. I mean, I'm 56, but I'm like, you could easily pass for 40.
I feel I'm much, much younger. I really
Same
do.
here. I
you
felt so
know?
old when I was 16. Like at 16, I remember feeling like I was 45. And now that I'm 56, I feel like I'm 16. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And when I look at pictures, like before I moved back to Panama in 2022, I can't even, I don't even recognize myself. Like I don't look anything like that. Um, and I was much heavier. I was unhealthy. I was just like everything. It was still, um, but yeah, now I just love this game that we're playing. It feels like a game that we're kind of creating and but then at the same time we're connecting to our higher selves, to spirit, to God, to all. It's such a mesh of a lot of things. But questioning everything. My mind has always questioned, like, okay, well, what does this mean? So that's when I asked you to be on because I'm like, what is going on? Because I know it's connected to
Hmm.
these energies. Um, and since then, I've just kind of been guided, and really, really working on the mind and then dismantling, old beliefs or old patterns to free the mind up to be born in my body. It's just kind of like it's all connected. We're born with these minds and then we get, kind of programmed through all our lives, from 5, 7 years old. And then we start becoming this person that is living by kind of like other people's programming,
Uh-huh.
like don't do this, do this. You have to do it that way. What does it look like? What are you gonna, other people's opinions, society, government, like everything. When I think we've all, what I mean, for me, I just wanted to be free to
Hmm.
be, to express. And so I know that those, like that job was literally the opposite of what I wanted. My soul was literally saying, you can't be here anymore. You're literally thinking about taking your life. Like, what?
Hmm.
Like that, I recognize that. And now I know that it was for me that that little voice in my head has always been like my higher self. I
Uh,
did not connect to her. I always thought it was like another voice, like
uh-huh.
um, and but it's me connecting to myself or myself connecting to me. It's like it's all
Yep.
together. Um, and so then when I started using that guidance, or when I was like, well, wait, it's not like that I'm going crazy and I have like two, I'm listening to one voice here and one voice here. It's like, no, no, no. It's like I am going to start trusting my instincts and that voice. And when I started doing that, because I did a manifestation course and that opened my mind up even more. Like, yes, you keep thinking about something and that's what you attract, right? So that's where instead of the mind controlling us, we start controlling our mind and our
Hmm.
thoughts. So if I want to attract something, because we're all frequency and energy, but if I want to attract something, I'm going to keep thinking about what I want to attract. And
Exactly.
but not, but then we also go through the whole like, okay, you have to undo how it's going to happen. Um, because we don't know. We don't know how it's going to happen. Um, and just kind of go with that flow. That's why, like that's another sign. Like I've had the word flow in my life for many, many
Mm,
years, and all of a sudden, my podcast is called Flow with Maria.
nice.
And then when we went to Bali this year, I had been thinking about Bali since 2008, right
Hmm.
before my husband was diagnosed with cancer, but because that was
Mm,
after that, it was just like a journey of years of brain, the whole thing. Um, And I'm like, and when Cortnie did that immersion in
hmm.
Bali, I'm like, I can't go. I'm not, that's crazy. Like, who am I to go to Bali? You know, but this calling in me, I'm like, okay, Maria, there is a reason why you've had that in your mind, in on your vision boards. The first thing, if I put like a
Oh,
picture of
wow.
travel, I always put Bali first.
Oh,
Always.
wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I have my vision board there right now. I mean, life is more about a vision board, but it's literally been on my thing. Um, and so that's when I was like, yeah, I'm going to follow my instinct again. And now following my intuition it's really, I just feel so,
Well, it sounds like you're following your heart.
yeah, my heart, my like everything, like my being. I'm just like, I'm following my being. And I, and I truly trust it because when I have trusted it, amazing things have happened,
Same here.
you know?
Yeah, and
And
I'm so glad I trusted the call to Bali. Like I remember being in high school wanting to go to Indonesia and or at least that part of the world, and but Bali was the first time I had the opportunity, and it made no sense for me to go. And I was like, I didn't really have the money, technically the time, but my heart was like, you have to be there.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to make it happen. And I did. And it was one of the best things I've ever done, a life changing experience. And now I have this amazing friendship with you and all these other people that I went to Bali with. I was also going to highlight one other thing too about you talking about the day job that you hated. Was one of the things that we've been learning in Cortnie Kairos's containers and from Zero, who she channels, is a lot of times we're uncomfortable in this space because we're not meant to be there.
Right.
Like our soul knows that we're meant for more. So like that's one of the biggest things I've learned from Zero is that like if you feel that discomfort, like you did with that job, that was your soul saying this is not where you are meant to thrive. Like this is not where you're supposed to be. So so if you feel that call, if you're going through something like that, anyone who's watching this, you may not have to quit your job right away. Or even like I was talking about earlier, the collapse, like you may not have the resources or the time or the space to go somewhere else for like 6 weeks. Like what my collapse looked like was actually under earning for a couple of years. Like I only had the emotional, mental capacity to do part-time work for like 20 hours a week, even though like, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time, a very expensive city. So that meant living with like roommates from Craigslist and like, cause that was the only rent I could afford. And like, oh my God, the stories I have, like there's so many weird people out there. Good Lord. I could probably write a book about all the crazy roommate experiences I've had. But I did it because mentally that was all I could handle. Like I just knew I did not have the capacity to do a full-time 40 a week job anywhere. Like I needed time to just like be in therapy and drift or just feel or like just hang out at the library for like 2 hours and like just read like a romance novel, like
Mhm.
that's what my collapse looked like, so it may be different for other people. But I'm so glad I gave myself the time and the space to do that because I did end up healing. I ended up doing
Yeah.
different 12-step programs. That's why I had the time to do some of these workshops and like meeting the lead, like it kept leading to each breadcrumb that led to the next step. And so now I don't regret any of it, because I'm here
Right.
now. And like, it still blows my mind that I'm happy to be alive, like truly.
Yeah, because we get to experience this now more awake. I don't know. It's like we're not in a dream or a fog anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
like we're actually and really staying very, very present.
Mm-hmm.
Like super present. I'm not thinking about tomorrow or the next day or the next. I'm not even thinking about this
Yes,
afternoon, you know? It's like I'm
exactly.
so present that and that's where I get, guidance to just follow it. Follow my own guidance. If you feel the no, believe it. If you feel the yes,
Exactly.
go for it.
Exactly.
If you feel doubt, just acknowledge that you doubt, but what's the opposite of doubt? Trust,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we've been here living this entire life not trusting ourselves or our situations, um, trying to, but it's yeah, when we were just kind of like on autopilot, we're not really able to get back down to our own like being now, right?
Exactly.
Just kind of going through the motions. And okay, what's next? What's life going to present me now? What's life? And you get used to that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, okay, well, yeah, something else is now going to present itself, and now I got to deal with that. Instead of looking at it the other way around, it's like, okay, well, what can I learn from this experience? And how can can I relate to these feelings that I'm feeling? Because we're here to experience it all.
Exactly.
And when you what, at least for me, when I've passed through these really, really difficult emotional times, um, I've I've always learned something from them. And then the feeling of like despair or loss or fear or doubt, any of those low vibrating emotions, um, were just they just kept lessening and lessening and lessening at the same time that I was blossoming and blossoming and blossoming. It was all kind of
Yeah,
happening at the same
exactly.
time. So that's where the confusion is. Like where's the balance and the harmony here,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
Um,
don't think it's about balance. I think it's more about harmony, like just accepting that it's never ever going to be perfectly balanced.
mhm.
But I think when I gave myself permission to just be in my body, be in the moment, and go with the flow, and then I got to the point where I did have full time work, and I couldn't, necessarily take like weeks off, but I could still go to like a 1 day workshop, or I could do a certain thing on the weekend and then find ways to incorporate what I was learning from those things, like 15 minutes in the morning every day or 15 minutes at night with meditation or journaling.
Yes.
So, if that's how you start, that's how you start. You can do
Yes.
it that way, especially if you like have parents or you're a caretaker, but especially when you have other people that you're responsible for. I think it's really important to make that time for yourself. So if anyone watching or listening is in that space, find a way to give yourself at
Mhm.
least 15 minutes a day that is just for you, because you have to fill your own cup first before you can help anyone else. And that forces you to ask for help a lot of the times. And that was the other key thing too. Like I had to stop thinking I had to solve everything on my own,
Right.
that I couldn't go to friends or family when I needed to.
Mhm.
Um, so like that was a big part of it too for me, like learning to like just give myself permission to feel and be human and to be weak and to be vulnerable. Like that was really important.
And then now, don't you find that it's that whatever next situation that may be kind of challenging, that there's the intensity is like less because
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know you're going to be okay,
Absolutely.
and there's a certain way now that we've found like this kind of like this. I'm experiencing it, but I'm not. I don't know how to put it. It's
Well, you don't make it your identity anymore. That
yes,
was a big part of
yes,
it. That used to be my
yeah,
identity. I'm the one who struggles. I'm the one who suffers. I'm the victim or I'm the martyr. Like dropping all of that was like such a huge weight. And then I
huge.
could begin to actually just live from joy and finally accepting that like that's actually my birthright. Like just being alive. Like I'm allowed to enjoy that experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if it's painful, it's like it's just finding whatever love and joy you can in that moment. So
Exactly.
another example, because last year I started my coaching thing, but then
Hmm.
I was following the horoscopes more than I was following like astrology. I was following like
Hmm.
reading the horoscope. But I was following somebody specifically, I can't remember his name. I still watch him every once in a while because he pinpoints like dates and that kind of thing. I haven't watched him in a while. Jimmy, the Great Awakener, or something like that. Um, but when I started the coaching thing last year, I was helping my friends, right? Because I just love the mind so much. Like I love figuring it out. And but then I had to stop because I was going through my own stuff. I went through a lot last year, but every time that I chose love for me,
Hmm.
it I just kept choosing myself more and more
Hmm.
and more and more, even though I was experiencing these really, really difficult situations last year. Um, that's I had already gone through the physical stuff of, being not being able to walk and all that. But last year really tested me. It was like, okay, so I source, God, the universe, like, okay, you think you've been through it all? Let's
Hmm.
show you really what this is about. Um, and that really expanded me. Like these certain situations, um,
Well, how did you actually get out of it then? That dark space.
I chose myself. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not, I'm just going to handle it with in the most loving way possible. Um,
But did that mean like letting go of friendships or like
Well,
telling people certain no?
one of them was my mom. So that
Mm,
was really, really big one for me was re coming to this realization that a lot of my patterns were based on how she has been with me all my
okay.
life. Um, and but she's not doing it on purpose. That's just, it's passed on from generation to generation. But I
Right.
literally had to like separate myself from her um for I've never spoken about this in public, but I had to kind of separate myself from her for like 5 weeks.
Okay.
And so I went through this grieving process. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't talk. I didn't call her. My dad was still,
Mm-hmm.
with her, but I didn't go over to their apartment to visit. Like I literally just,
Okay.
and from there, I realized that I realized the word manipulation, right? So my
Mm,
mom, without knowing it, has manipulated, like, are you going to wear that?
mm.
Or what are people going to think? Or because she's Spanish, she comes from a very Latin, she comes from Panama, she's in Panama, and Panamanians or the Latin community, like the Latin culture has a lot of comparison.
Well,
Um,
I think just a lot of cultures and the mother-daughter relationship is often with that.
oh,
And I had similar issues with my mom too, because so many moms are taught that like, especially how their daughters look is a reflection on them.
yes, exactly. That's exactly how I grew up without knowing it until I realized it last year. And then I said, okay, well, that is stopping here. And then my daughter was diagnosed with cancer
Oh, wow.
after when I was going through the process with my mom.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, so but I looked at it in a different way. Like, okay, she's gonna get through this. I
Okay.
am here. I am literally meant to walk this path with her.
Mm-hmm.
Along with her husband and she
Your daughter, you mean?
yeah, I
Okay.
knew that I was meant to walk this with her.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had already chosen myself throughout the last 6 months prior to that, it was the intensity of that was like, and knowing that we're much, much more,
Yes.
um, there was the intensity was lower. I mean, yes, I had the shock when she told me, um, but once I kind of worked through, I'm like, no, she's going to be okay, and I'm meant to walk this along with her. Um, and that also gave me the opportunity to get my relationship back with my mom, but from a different perspective, right? Because there I had to present myself and tell my parents, like, your granddaughter has cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I realized was kind of like meant to be so that I could ease my way back with my parents because I felt like I had just abandoned my mom, but it was like for my own good at that time. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to abandon my mom. Like, she's my mom. Like, I love her. I love my parents. But there's a certain limit that I get to of how much how responsible am I what, for them, right? Because we feel this sense of responsibility.
Yes.
Um, and so my daughter got through her surgery really well. She had thyroid cancer. But honestly, like that whole time was actually kind of magical.
Mm.
There was like she got married civilly with her fiance
Oh, nice.
because they were navigating it together. She was in
Mm-hmm.
the States, and okay, so she's fine. She still does her checkups and everything, but
Okay.
she's
Glad
fine.
to hear
I
that.
know she's here like to eliminate everything.
Okay.
And then the part that really made me feel like, okay, I know that there's much more beyond this was when a close friend of mine passed away, and I found out just a few days before Christmas.
Mm.
And but the way that I reacted to it was completely different than I've somebody would have told me that she passed away 5 years ago.
Ah.
It was like, okay, she I know she's at peace. I know she's at peace. I know she's not here anymore. But there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a
Yes.
reason why she's not here anymore. Um, Not so much for me, but for like I think it was more for her family. And that grief, I did a lot of grieving last year, I guess. It's
Yeah, yeah.
now
You had a lot to
now that
grieve
I'm
last year.
analyzing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was able to walk through that grief. And some of my friends were like, "Well, aren't you devastated? Aren't you like, oh my God, what?" And I'm like, I know, and she died in her sleep. Like,
Mm.
okay, so like I just, yes, I'm sad that she's not here, like around, but I also feel a connection to her
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably still feel
somehow.
her presence and
Yeah.
her guiding you in some ways.
And then and then just having a couple of different relationships where I realized what I wanted and what I don't want. And
Okay.
um yeah, but always I'm now choosing me more and more, like in every moment actually. I'm choosing me. Yeah, I don't abandon myself anymore. And I had for
Oh
many.
wow. Well, that's big. That's huge.
Yeah, it's really big. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll see how these energies are because I'm feeling them physically
Yeah.
and
Well, I think also part of it too. And the other thing that attracted me to Cortnie was when she talked about our DNA changing. Because I had been telling people that for years, that our DNA is changing, that like our like something is turning on. Like I didn't know what it was, but it wasn't until I was in Courtney's space that I heard people actually say that light codes in our DNA are turning on. Or actually, I did theta healing as well, which is a form of meditation therapy and energy work. So I'm certified in that as well. And that was the first time I heard people talk about DNA, like it's not junk DNA. It's like
right, right.
codes that are being turned on in humanity. And I think that's why there's so much anxiety on Earth right now, too. I know a lot of people feel the changes in the DNA, but they don't have language for it. And I think that that's what drives the anxiety is that they're not aware consciously that that's what's happening, but they know something major is happening in the body and on Earth. And then I've been listening to other channelers, excuse me, this weekend talk about like June in particular. There are a lot of light codes turning on for people, and so like a lot of energy is coming online for people, especially the second half of June from like the solstice to the 30th. Like people are going to be feeling a lot of changes like physically. And so like that might be the energy you're tapping into or what you're experiencing or feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean, yesterday was I feel like I entered like another dimension or something.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yep,
was
exactly.
really, really, the synchronicities were mind blowing to say the least,
Mm-hmm.
and in a good way.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, we communicate with people and our friends in this Light and Love Club as well, and other people. Like everybody's kind of experiencing it the same but differently.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the intensity. I'm feeling something in my body. I can't put a name to it, but this is what I'm feeling.
Yeah. So if you're
Feeling like a
watching and listening and
current.
experiencing that, like drink a lot of water, rest when
Yes.
you can, slow down
Listen to the
when you
body.
can, listen to the body. You may be craving different foods, different supplements, like honor that.
Mhm.
Because I notice I haven't had a taste for sugar like the way I used to like for like other I used to add sugar to my coffee or my mushroom coffee or my tea and like I can't even have that. Like my body is like no. And I live with my sisters who buy a ton of junk food like all the time. Like you would think we owned a convenience store with all the stuff we have in the house. And but like I haven't wanted any of it. And that used to be like such a big temptation for me. But like my body is like no, or like it actually hurts my stomach now when I eat some of that stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I know that that's my body like changing and like adapting to all this incoming light that's coming in. So, yeah, just honor what your body needs. Like rest as much as you can, drink lots of good, clean water, and yeah, if your body's craving healthier, more nutritious food, then, give it that.
Yeah, I went to a birthday party last night and met some incredible people, and I said no to the cake. I'm like,
Hmm.
not me, but I just didn't feel like having cake. But the week prior, I was like, okay, I'm in the mood for ice cream. I feel like this inner child is coming out in me,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
also like my femininity and my
Uh-huh. Yeah.
sensuality, like it's
Yeah.
all kind of,
Definitely.
merging together, and it's
Absolutely.
I call it like this deliciousness of like this current, right?
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It's beautiful.
it is. It feels really, really good. And so I was like, I'm going to have ice cream. Like if I want to have ice cream, I'm going to get ice cream. But then all of a sudden, like yesterday, I'm like, I don't feel like having sweet. So I feel like all of our senses
Hmm.
that we're aware of are being heightened. And then I
Absolutely.
think there's going to be like more sensations and things that might be revealed in our bodies that want to express
Exactly.
themselves. So yeah, like eyesight and touch and taste buds and smell. We were talking about incense just
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
like smell something that you really want to smell. Lavender,
Hmm.
whatever. For me
Exactly.
specifically, I love lavender and I love eucalyptus and I also
Yeah, me too.
like the fir balsam kind of.
Yeah, me too.
And but yeah, that's how I feel. It's like everything's just kind of being heightened, but I don't know how to describe it. It's just
Yeah.
it's
Well,
sweet.
just watching you, it feels like you're dancing with life, like the
Yes,
energy of
yes,
life. And
yes.
like,
It's
I
like a
love that. I'm like, I'm going to take
flow.
that on too. I'm going to give myself permission to dance with like the energy and the love of life.
Yes. Yeah, and I did. Yeah, I danced last night because I know it's like this energy wants to be released as well. It's
Hmm.
like, if keep it all pent up, it's like, no, but like let's express, let's move. And that's a huge thing that we're going through right now is movement.
Absolutely.
And this Kundalini awakening thing, like that's just all the chakras getting aligned, and it's like, wow, it's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. But it's
Exactly.
when you stay in the present and you just like, okay, I'm feeling this. I don't have to put a name to it. I'm just gonna go with the feeling. If I have a question,
Yes.
I'll ask. Um, but that's where the inner trust goes. Like I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. And that's a big part of choosing yourself too, because I've been experiencing more of that myself. And that's what it really comes down to is self-trust.
Trust is huge. Like really, really trusting. I've always said this, trust in divine timing. I've seen divine timing play out so perfectly the last few years, like so perfectly. Um, and so that has made me feel really good, like okay, this is happening for a reason. And what do I learn from this experience?
Yes.
And I know that I'm supposed to be here right now, right?
Exactly.
Like speaking with my daughter, right? Like that, like
Hmm.
I'm gonna go through this experience. Um, because no matter what, she's gonna be okay.
Exactly.
And so if I can be present, I'm just gonna choose to be love for her and support and make her feel that she is going to be okay as well, so that she puts that in her mindset, which she already did, right? So that was like where we were like this perfect blend with
Oh,
her husband and
beautiful.
her
That's
mother-in-law.
so
It was just like this
beautiful.
perfect blend of like, we're going to get through this. We're just going to get through it in the best way possible without being super dramatic or intense and adding to that,
Hmm.
because then that's what begins unraveling, right? Is that you want to kind of stay very present and know that everything happens in divine timing, even if it's something difficult, and just trust that everything is okay no matter what, because we are okay no matter what. If we're here and we do believe that we are one of, we have infinite lives, right?
Hmm.
Everybody questions like what happens when we die? Like, well, I believe we have infinite lives and timelines and this it's
Same
another
here.
realm, right? And we're here to experience it all. So why not experience it the best way that every situation, no matter how good or bad, or without labeling it as well, it's like just whatever experience you're experiencing it, how can I be so present that I'm experiencing it from the best way possible?
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. We've been talking about an hour already.
How we they see time flies.
Exactly.
What is time?
Yeah. Unless there's one other thing you want to add to anybody.
I just stay in the now and flow with it. Like just flow with, like, ride the waves, ride the tides, ride. I don't know, there's just like this
Hmm.
and like just ride it and not go down with like just, you know, it, I don't know. Sometimes I find it hard to find words for this
Yeah.
feeling. But whatever we're going through right now, I do like it.
Yeah. Me too.
I
Actually, it feels really
do.
good.
And if you
Yeah.
say it's going to continue a little bit further, I like that too.
Yes. All
These
right.
energies. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, just stay present, stay in the body, and, keep choosing yourself and choosing love. And thank you so much for joining me today. I will put a link down to your website. I mean, excuse me, your YouTube as well, Flow
You.
with Maria E on YouTube. Definitely check out her conscious conversations. They are really fantastic. And I always like to end all of my transmissions with always remember to honor the light within you.
Thank you. Thank you, Darice. And thank you for everything that I mean, you have really lit up my world too. So thank you.
Oh,
I
same
know
here.
you're lighting up a lot of people's worlds. So.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye now.